Boy, have the Mets turned their season around. There's a lot of people to credit, but I've got three people in particular who deserve the majority of it. Well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm WatchUK99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. So when the month of May was ending, things looked dire for the New York Mets. They got swept by the LA Dodgers. They were 11 games under 500, 7 teams ahead of them in the wild card race. Only 2 teams in the National League had a worse record. Edwindiaz went on the injured list, and you had the whole Jorge Lopez debacle, which wound up him getting released. But the Mets since then have won 15 of 19 games. They are 39-39, back to 500. The last time this team was 500 was May 7th when they were 18-18. Now they're back to 39-39. And the offense has been awesome. So the Mets have scored 10 runs in a game or more 7 times this year. 6 of them have happened since May 31st. And just a couple of offensive statistics. They're first in runs scored in Major League Baseball. They have 39 home runs. That's second. This is over June. 295 team batting average. That's first. Their on base percentage, their slugging, their OPS, all of that is first. But there's 3 people in particular who I want to highlight who deserve just a little bit of extra credit. And the first one to me is Francisco Alvarez. I mean, he is only 22 years old, and he is emerging as one of the best catchers in all of baseball, living up to the #1 overall prospect hype that was on his shoulders just a few years ago. So he has an 8-game hit streak going, and in that time, he is hitting .556. That's his batting average, with 4 doubles, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. But let's go back even further. Since June 11th, that's when he came back, he's been playing with a splint on his thumb. He has an on-base plus slugging of 1.232. If you've got an 800, you're doing pretty well. He's at 1.232 in 14 games. That is amazing. The Mets are 22-3 in the games where Alvarez has appeared in going back to April 4th. And the defense, you can't overlook how key that is. The pitchers love him. His catcher's ERA, so the combined ERA for all pitchers when he's behind the plate, is 2.71. Now compare that to the other catchers the Mets have thrown out there this year. Luisseverino, we like him, good bat, but 4.36 catcher's ERA. Omar Narvaez, 4.31, and Thomas Nido, 5.16. The difference is enormous. And if he hadn't missed the time that he did with that thumb injury, he might be the starting catcher for the National League All-Star team. Hopefully he still has a shot to make it as a reserve. Number 2 on my list is Franciscolindor. Now, he was the one who called the now infamous team meeting after the Dodgers swept them. I think he sets the pace for the Mets, especially as their leadoff hitter. And I hate to use the narrative as this player goes, the rest of the team goes, especially in baseball. But he means so much to the Mets. So through his first 55 games, he had an on-base plus slugging of .652. Not that good, and definitely not good enough by his standards. In his last 23 games, his OPS is .997, which is amazing. But his real success goes back even further to when Carlosmendoza, who I'm getting more and more confident in pretty much by the week as the manager of this team. He got moved from the 3 hole in the lineup to the #1. That was back on May 18th. And at the top of the order, his on-base plus slugging went up to .906. Big credit to Franciscolindor because when he's having fun, when he's playing well, it just rubs off on the rest of his teammates. And the third person that I want to credit is not a player. It's actually David Stearns, the vice president of baseball operations. He had a lot of signings during the offseason. Some have worked out, some have not worked out. Luisseverino, great signing. Tyrone Taylor was a trade acquisition along with Adrian Hauser. That's been okay. And some things have not worked out, like bringing back Ottavino for the bullpen. But look at the small moves he's made. Stearns sent $100,000 to the Yankees to get Luisseverino on May 31st, and he's made a quick impact. He homered twice in the victory over Washington on June 5th. 4 days later, he made one of the biggest plays of the season, that game-ending 2-2-3 double play in London against the Phillies. And on the same day that Stearns acquired Terrens, he also promoted dednielnunez from AAA, and the reliever has a 2.08 ERA. And with Edwindiaz out for the next 8 games with the suspension, Nunez may be the most reliable reliever in the Mets bullpen. Stearns also called up Markvientos on April 27th. One day later, he delivers the walk-off home run to beat St. Louis. And I've made it no secret of it. I didn't know if Vientos would ever offer anything other than right-handed power, but he has hit very well. A 298 batting average, a 928 OPS with 9 home runs and 22 RBIs this year. And his WAR, if you care about the WAR, is 1.4. That's 4th on the team. In other words, it's very good. Stearns also brought up Joseiglesias on May 31st. He has hit 400 with a 905 OPS and 35 at-bats. But more than that, Iglesias, as Jeff McNeil has struggled, Iglesias has brought vibes. He's brought atmosphere. He's brought excitement to the team with his music, with the OMG song, which just got released. That's becoming a big thing now. But one of Stearns' biggest moves was getting rid of Jorge Lopez after he was ejected for arguing with the umpire and throwing his glove into the crowd as he left the field. Ever since he left, amazingly enough, the Mets are 17-6. So going forward, here's the question. Can they keep this kind of a pace up? Well, according to Tankathon.com, the Mets have the 3rd easiest schedule in baseball the rest of their way. Their opponents have a combined .488 winning percentage. And coming up, they've got teams like Washington, Pittsburgh, and Colorado. So they're playing some teams who are a little bit behind them in the wild card race, and the Mets got to hold those teams off. But if you look at the playoff odds, the odds for the Mets making the playoffs on June 2nd, that was before everything started to really turn around, was 7.9%. Now it's more than quintupled. It's at 41.6. And you know what? In the future, I still am advocating trading a starter for some bullpen help. Edwindiaz will be back in a little over a week, but you got Sean Reed-Foley out, Drew Smith out, Brooks Raley is done for the year. I mean, Ty Adcock, who nobody had ever heard of, is getting time now. So I seriously hope David Stearns will be able to upgrade this bullpen with maybe 2 relievers, because you trade a starter. If you trade a Sean Manaea, you trade a Jose Quintana, you could still bring back Christian Scott. You could call up Jose Butto, and hopefully Kodai Senga will be ready to go in the month of July. He is facing hitters, so as of now, that is the expectation. So those are my thoughts on the Mets and this amazing turnaround that they've had. I want to see your thoughts. Put them right down there in the comments. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And remember, our Wednesday night live show going forward, starting July 3rd, begins at 6 p.m., so set your notification bell. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you right back here with more content from, well, you all know where, the Wicker Chair. See you later.